Good morning and welcome to Business English. And for today, we're going to have a very interesting lesson. We are going to talk about some and any. And aside from that, we are also going to talk about countable and uncountable nouns. Okay, so for today, we are going to talk about C28 and C29. These are the lessons for the Business English class. Again, my name is Teacher Rina and welcome to your Business English class. Okay, so before anything else, I want to ask each and everyone, how are you today? Good. And I'm fine as well. Okay, so I am going to share my screen so that you will have an idea and also a copy of the lesson that we are going to study for today. Okay, so for today, we are going to talk about some and any. For our first hour of the class, we are going to talk about some and any in unit number 5, dining etiquette. So this is the language focus number 1. Okay, now for the language focus number 1, the topic is some and any. Many of us ask the same question. When and how do we use some and any? Okay, student A, do you have any idea how to use some and any? How about you, student B? Do you have any idea how to use some and any? Great! All the answers that you have given out are correct. We use some when we're talking about positive and we use any when we're talking about negative. But let's try to go deeper into the details. First, we use some in a positive statement. For example, there are some very good restaurants in the city center. So that's a positive sentence, which means there are. Next, we use some when we offer things and ask for things. For example, would you like some more coffee? Can I have some tea, please? So when you're trying to ask for something, you can use or you should use some. Can I have some coffee? Can I have some tea, please? And if you're offering something, you also have to use some. Would you like some more coffee? Would you like some more tea? Very good. How about you, student A? Can you please give me an example using some? Very good. There are some books on the table. That's correct. That's a positive statement. How about you, student B? Can you give me a sentence using some? Very good. Can I have some information about the material for our project? Very good. That's also a great sentence. Now, let's try to move on to any. So we use any in most of the questions that we ask. Or, if we are not sure if there is or there are, we use any. For example, do you have any beef? Do you have any pens or papers? So you're not sure if there are or there is. So you have to use any. Next, we also use any in negative statements. If we use some for positive statements, therefore we use any for negative statements. For example, we haven't got any beef today. We haven't got any coffee for today. So when we're trying to talk about negative stuff or sentences, we use any. Now, guys, I want to be clear. We use some and any when we're talking about uncountable nouns. Yes, when we say uncountable or countable, these are the things that we can count for countable and uncountable for the things that we can count. For some, we use some for countable nouns. For example, restaurants. We can count them, so we use any. I'm sorry, we use some. Okay, but for any, we use it for both negative and also for uncountable. Okay, again guys, don't be confused. I made a mistake earlier. So we used some when we're talking about positive and countable. We use any for negative, that is uncountable. Do you have any questions? Okay, so no questions so far. Now let's try to move on. Now, for the next part, we're going to have an activity. In this activity, we're going to tick the correct sentences, correct the mistakes in other sentences if we find the mistake. Number 1 is done for us. I'd like any water. So the correct sentence is, I'd like some water. Very good. So, some water, because it is in a positive sentence. I would like some water. So, some can be for countable and uncountable nouns. Countable, like restaurants. Uncountable, like water. Okay, very good. Now, let's try to go to number 2. Could I have any more coffee, please? Is that correct or wrong? Student A. Okay, it's a mistake. It's wrong. Can you make it correct, please? Very good. So, the correct sentence is, could I have some more coffee, please? Yes. So, this is a positive statement and you're asking for things, so you should use some. Very good. Now, how about you, student B? Please try to write or try to answer number 3. In letter A, yes. Okay, are there any restaurants near here? Is that correct? Very good. So it's a correct sentence. Are there any restaurants near here? So you're not sure if there is or there are, and it is also a question, so we can use any. Okay, next one, number 4. There isn't some wine left. How about that, student A? Is that a correct sentence? No, it's not. Can you make it correct? Very good. So there isn't any wine left. Why should we use any? Very good. Because the sentence is negative. There isn't any wine left. You cannot say there isn't some, because isn't is negative. Very good. Okay, number 5. I'd like some cheese, please. Is that correct? Very good, student B. It's a correct sentence. I'd like some cheese, please. So when we're trying to ask for something, we use some. Lastly, student A, do you like or do you have any soft drinks? Is it a correct sentence? Yes or no? Very good. It is a correct sentence because we use any in most questions. So when you say, do you have any soft drinks? That is a correct sentence. Okay, very good. Now, thank you very much for answering activity letter A. Now, let's try to move on to activity letter B if you don't have any questions. Okay, now for activity letter B, all we have to do is read the dialogue. Okay, read the dialogue about choosing a restaurant. We have to underline the correct words to complete it. So you have to choose what you think is the correct answer. Okay, now let's try student A. You will be Mina. Very good. There are some good restaurants in the city center. It's already given, but your answer or your reading skill is already correct for this one. How about you, student B? You'll be Ivan. Please read. Very good. Yes, but there isn't any parking. We could go to Texas Steakhouse near the airport. So the answer is isn't any. Why is your answer any? Very good, because it is a negative sentence. Very nice. Now, how about you, student A? You will be Mina again. Please read and answer. Very good. The correct answer is, do they serve any vegetarian dish? So when you're asking a question and you're unsure about the answer, you should use any. Very good. Student B, Ivan, please read and answer. I don't think so. How about the Marina? They do some great fish dishes and they have some vegetarian starters too. Very good. So the answer for this one is some and some. Okay, I know that I am encircling the answers, but for your paper there, I want you to underline the correct answer. Okay, last one, student A, Mina. Please read and answer. Okay, no need to answer, just read it then. Good idea. I'll see if they've got a table for 9 o'clock. Very good. So that's it for the first part of our lesson today, guys. So it was really, really easy, right? So if you have any questions regarding on how to use some and any, you can always ask me on how to do it and how to answer it. If you have any clarifications, or maybe some of the lessons or part of the lessons were very confusing, you can also ask me. Do you have any questions? Okay, very good. Now, when do we use some and any in parts of the sentence, or countable or uncountable? Okay, so both some and any, let's focus on uncountable nouns. When we say uncountable nouns, these are nouns that we cannot count. For example, coffee. And another one is rice, bread, information, luggage, hair. There are a lot of uncountable nouns out there. Actually, there is a list of countable and uncountable nouns. Later on, during our break time, I'm going to give you the list of these countable and uncountable nouns. So some, if we're talking about a positive statements, for example, there is or there are. We use any for negative statements. For example, isn't or aren't. Okay? Okay, if you don't have any questions, let's try to move on to the next part of our lesson. Okay, so the next part of our lesson is language focus number 2. We are going to go into details in learning what is countable and uncountable nouns. Okay, so first, most nouns in English are countable, which means we can count. We can put a or an before them and they have a plural form. So a or an are both articles. We put them before nouns to know that we're talking about a single or one noun. And the opposite of this singular form are the plural forms. Okay, for example, a table. Okay, now I'm gonna try to write that down so you will have an idea, or you will really understand how to do it. Okay, so a table is for singular form, which means only one. Okay, and then another one, tables, is for plural form, which means many. So it goes to a lot of different nouns. For example, a chair, chairs, a meal, meals, a restaurant, restaurants. There are also nouns that changes in form. They change in form. You don't have to just write S or ES. For example, when we say woman, it means one woman. But when we say women, it means two or more. Okay? So that's it. That's how it is. Okay? So do you have any questions regarding this example of countable and uncountable nouns? Okay. So if you don't have, then let's continue. Now, for the second bullet point, some nouns here, Second one, some nouns are usually uncountable and are usually singular. For example, water. Water is uncountable and it is in singular form, which means we cannot say waters. It's just water. Next, tea. Tea. Sugar. Milk. Bread. Now these are uncountable nouns, which means we cannot count them. And do you have any question? Yes, student B? Okay, so those are what we call quantifiers. When we want to be able to quantify something, like for example water, we use quantifier. So an example of a quantifier for water is a glass of water, a cup of tea, a tablespoon of sugar. So these are quantifiers because we cannot count uncountable nouns. In order for us to quantify them or measure them, we need quantifiers. Okay, very good. Now moving on to the next bullet point, we have there a lot. A lot of, many, and much means a large quantity or number of something. When we say a lot of information, many chairs, much money. So it means it has a large amount of something. Okay? Next bullet point. We use a lot in all different types of sentences. For example, there aren't a lot of flights at the weekend. There aren't a lot of food left on the fridge. Okay? So we can use a lot of in different sentences, both countable and uncountable nouns. We can use a lot of in both countable and uncountable nouns. Okay, next bullet point. We use many with countable nouns. So when we say many, it is about countable nouns. We use it only for countable nouns. For example, how many people are coming to the conference? How many chairs are there in the room? So people, chairs, tables, we can count them. That's why we have to use many. Next, much. We use much with uncountable nouns. So uncountable nouns are nouns that we can't count. For example, can you pay? I haven't got much money. So we use much for something that we cannot count, such as money, much information, much food. So we cannot count food, that's why we have to use much. Okay? Do you have any questions? Clarifications? Okay, now guys, if there is something that you're confused about or something that you didn't understand, please do not hesitate to ask me and let's try to talk or discuss about it again. Okay? Do you have any questions? Okay, none so far. Now, if you don't have any questions, let's try to move on to the next part of our lesson, which is an activity. All you have to do is tick or check the countable nouns. Again, countable nouns are things that we can count. Okay, now let's try. Okay, number one is done for us. Reservation. Reservation is countable because we usually say, I have a reservation. So you can count it. How many reservations do you have? So 1, 2, 3, 4. We can count it, so therefore it's a check. Next, facts. Okay, so fax itself is uncountable, but fax machine or fax message can be countable. Very good. Air conditioning, uncountable. Bathroom, very good. It's uncountable. Bill or bills. Bill paper, the actual bill papers, we can actually count it. 1, 2, 3 bills that I need to pay. But the bill itself as a general term is uncountable. Okay? Employee. Yes, we can count employee. Equipment. Okay, so equipment is uncountable. Equipment is a combination of a lot of different machines, so we cannot count them. Hotel, very good. It is countable. Okay? Next, number 9, information. Okay, information can be both countable, but generally it is uncountable. That's the reason why I have a lot of information for you. I need much information about this one. But when we use the article a or an, I have uninformation for you. It is countable. I heard a student of mine told me that this information is countable, but generally information is uncountable. Next, seat. Very good. It is countable. Luggage. Luggage is uncountable. It is a combination of baggage, bags. So it is uncountable. Flight. Yes, flight is countable. Menu is uncountable. Money. Okay, so money is quite a tricky noun. It can be both countable or uncountable according to my student. It's actually a joke. My student said before that if you have a lot of money, it is uncountable. But if you don't have a lot of money, therefore it is countable. But it's just a joke, guys. It's just a joke. Okay, a funny joke. Now, basically and generally, money is uncountable. We cannot count money. That's the reason why we have to use much. But one thing that we can count is the currency. For example, $1, $2, $3, a million peso, or 20,000 yuan, or Taiwanese dollars. So these currencies, we can count them, but money in general is uncountable. Next, overtime. Overtime, is it countable or uncountable? Overtime is uncountable because we cannot count time. Work plus time, that's the reason why we have overtime pay. We pay them based on the effort and work that you do, but time basically is uncountable. But when you're talking about hours, minutes, and seconds, those are quantifiers. We can count them. Okay? Receipts, yes, we can count receipts. The paper receipt, we can count them. Table is countable. Tips. Tip is actually money that you give to ensure prompt service, so it is uncountable. But again, if it is currency, I received $20 tip, therefore it is countable. Transport or transportation, you can't count it. But when you're trying to talk about vehicles or cars, therefore you can count it. Next, soup. It's uncountable. Work. Work is uncountable. That's the reason why there have been a lot of issue in order how to quantify work. Payment in overtime work, or the amount of time that you work. Work is an uncountable noun. Very good. Next one, shopping. It's uncountable. Suitcase. Countable. Leisure. Leisure is the fun time that you spend when you're not working, therefore it's not countable or it's uncountable. Okay, so we're going to review. We have reservation, countable, bathroom, employee, hotels, seat, flight, receipt, table, and suitcase or suitcases. Usually these are countable nouns. Uncountable nouns, fax, air conditioning, bill, equipment, information, luggage, menu, money, overtime, tip, transport, soup, work, shopping, and leisure. Yes, very good. If you don't have any question, let's try to move on to the last part of our lesson, which is answering letter B. Okay, now in letter B, all we have to do is try to write a lot of yes or okay, I'm gonna try to find it again where it is. So sorry about this. Okay, so let's try to move on and continue with activity letter B. So I'm going to try to erase the annotation that we made earlier so that you'll be able to see the new lesson. Okay, there we go. Okay guys, this is the last part of our lesson. So let's try to answer letter B. Now what we're going to do, we have to correct the mistakes in these sentences. We have to use a lot of, many, or much. Again, we use a lot of in most all types of sentences, many when we're talking about countable nouns, and much when we're talking about uncountable nouns. Okay, so number 1 is done for us. They don't have much vegetarian dishes here. So you can say they don't have a lot of or many vegetarian dish here. Okay, how about number 2? What is the correct answer for number 2? The sentence is, how many does it cost? So it's wrong. It should be, okay, so the correct answer is, how much does it cost? Its cost is uncountable, that's why we have to use much. Okay, next one, let's try to move on to number 3. Okay, so for number 3, the sentence is, the restaurant hasn't got much tables left. So it's a wrong usage of quantifier. So we are going to change it to make it better. So this correct sentence is, the restaurant hasn't got many tables left. Okay, so we use many tables because many tables or table is a countable noun. Therefore, we have to use many. 1 table, 2 tables. So we have to use many in this sentence. Okay, next one, number 4, we have there, I don't have many time at the moment. So it's a wrong sentence. We have to use much in this sentence. So I don't have much time at the moment. Very good. Okay, so next one, I drink much coffee. That is a correct sentence. In another sentence that you can use is also, I drink a lot of coffee. Okay, very good. Number 6. There aren't much hotels in the city center. So it's a wrong sentence because in this sentence you have to use, yes, student A? Very good, many hotels because hotel is countable. Okay, next, number 7, it costs much money. So this is a correct sentence because when we use cost, we have, and money, we have to use much. Lastly, last part of our lesson, number 8, I don't want many spaghetti. There's ice cream for dessert. So the number 8 question is wrong. We have to say, yes, student B, what is the answer for number 8? I don't want much spaghetti or a lot of spaghetti because there's ice cream for dessert. Okay, for this part, you have to say much or a lot of. Okay, very well. Now guys, that's the end of our lesson for today. I'm very happy to study with you with this lesson. Our lesson for today, I'm going to sum it all up. So for the first part of our lesson, we talked about some and any. We discussed how and when to use some and any in your sentences. The next part of our lesson, part 2, we talked about countable and uncountable nouns. So I hope that you'll be able to learn and review all the lessons that we had today. And most importantly, I hope that you will be able to use it in your daily life. Okay, thank you very much guys. I'll see you again soon. Have a great day. Bye.